When Tyla's song Water took over the world, the global music industry tried to name her, right? They tried to name her Afrobeats, world music, African pop. Because as at that time, Afrobeat was already on the move. And they tried to name her Afrobeats. And this is what we've been talking about all this while, about how once it comes time to define what Africa is, they expect you to just take it like that. And Tyla was like, no, I don't make Afrobeats. That is not what I make. And every time an African speaks up, it always sounds like an insult. This is not what I make. You cannot tell me what I make. I make the music. The funny thing is, global music, global politics, the West, Europeans, Americans, whatever you want to call them, they don't like complexity. It is whatever they tell you you are. That is what you are. They don't want any rebuttal. They don't want any resistance. They don't want refusal. But think about it this way. Africa has over 50 countries, 54 to be precise, hundreds of cultures, but the industry prefers one shelf. Make it make sense. Afrobeats, in the music terms, became that shelf. They wanted to call it Afrobeats, not because it fit everyone, mind you, it's because it was easy to sell. I mean, if you are from Tanzania and you make music, you're Afrobeats because you're from Africa. So when Tyla emerged from South Africa with Amapiano, R&B, and pop influences, they just reached for the easiest, the closest label, Afrobeat. It was convenience. It wasn't because it was accurate, it was just convenience. Because, the Berlin Conference was all about convenience. Drawing maps and borders was just about convenience. So when it came to music, it was still about convenience. We don't want to have to define what music Tanzanians make. We don't want to have to define what music South Africans make. Let's just call everything Afrobeat. But Tyla rejected this flat name. She said, I am South African. This is Amapiano. This music has a home. So this pushback disrupted a quiet rule. As an African, you are not supposed to speak up. You're just supposed to accept it and be thankful. Oh, thank you for taking me in. I accept the label. But you see, naming is power. Whatever you name something is the power you give it. And refusing a name means reclaiming control. So imagine if Tyla had accepted the label Afrobeat. That is what they were going to call it, even if she wasn't Afrobeat. Of course, some Africans felt betrayed. They were like, Afrobeat helped all of us. Why are you denying it? Why not just accept it? It's the same thing we're talking about, right? Whatever thing they call you is what you should accept. It does not have to be so African. If you're an African and you're listening to this, it does not have to be. Where you're coming from has a name. You are a person and you have a name. You can't allow someone name you whatever they think fits you. And other Africans, of course, they felt same. Africa isn't one sound. Africa is 54 countries and counting. This debate, it reveals something deeper. In Africa, we are still negotiating who gets to define African identity. Outsiders or insiders, Africans or global systems. It should not be so. We are our own people. We should define who we are. This is what we have been discussing over time. Africa has always been named by outsiders. Always. Go back to the previous videos. I have mentioned it over and over again. Identity is very critical. And as Africans, we have to own our identity. We cannot keep allowing outsiders to define who we are. Tyla's moment, Tyla's resistance, it echoed the past. That is someone who knows who she is. And that is how every African has to think. If you are going global, you need to know who you are, because the world will try to define you. Literally and figuratively, the world will try to define you. You have to push back and say, no, this is who I am. And you're not going to tell me who I am. So kudos to Tyla. Kudos to Tyla. This was not a general argument. It was Africa practicing self-definition in real time. In real time. In real time.